All right, number 14, Slayer P3 says, given the resurgence of psychedelics for recreation and therapeutic use in Western society, is there room for it in Christianity, or should its use stay separate from spiritual practice? Agnostic. I don't know what the word agnostic meant there at the end, but psychedelics for recreation and therapeutic use in Western society. I mean, I'll have to admit, I'm generally very skeptical. This to me seems like an unhealthy trend. I'm just being my personal opinion here. When it comes to scripture, I would like to do more study on my own of the term pharmakia. This is the word translated as sorcery or witchcraft in the New Testament. It's a Greek word, pharmakia. We do get our modern English word pharmacy or pharmaceutical from it, but it's not the same word. It doesn't mean pharmacy. It doesn't mean pharmaceutical. That's a misnomer. People think that. It's not quite true. But the reason why I would do research on it to help answer this question better one day is because I would like to understand if there is implicit judgment against using psychedelics in general. Because of the way that they would be used to engage in spiritual activities. I would be concerned about that. I don't really know the answer to that question, so I can't really comment. I will say this, though. While I'm not going to comment on therapeutic use, and that's on purpose, let me put it, I'll give you an example. Please don't take morphine, you guys. Please don't take morphine. Did you just have surgery? Take some morphine. I mean, obviously, when it's legitimate medicinal uses, and there's a big question of whether different uses are actually legitimate or not. But if they are legitimate, then I'm not opposed to hardly any drugs in principle. Like, I think that might be the right place for it. It might be the best opportunity for it, especially like palliative care. We give people the stuff when they're on palliative care, when they're on their deathbed. We give people things that we would never give them on a daily life basis because of the harm it might cause, because of the addiction it might cause. And I'm okay with that because the person's on their deathbed. So I think Proverbs almost makes a case for this. I say almost because it's a little, it could be a stretch when it talks about giving drink to the one who's perishing. And it's an interesting thing, is what it says. And I talk about that in my video on alcohol, actually. But aside from medical stuff, okay, because I'm not going to dig into that. Look, there's medical conditions I know nothing about. There's different treatments for them where they carefully regulate all the different things, and there's different studies and case tests and experiences I don't know anything about. So I won't comment on that stuff. But I will comment on this, on the spiritual side of things. Taking, say, psychedelics, mushrooms, in order to have an enhanced spiritual experience, to me seems like a significant problem for a number of reasons. For one, this is how pagan religions and cultures typically often do their religious things. You know, you smoke the peyote and you see a vision in the fire. That's the idea. I think that these tend to be ways of manufacturing fake spiritual experiences as a replacement for the true. The New Testament doesn't have any of this. The Bible doesn't have any of this. I think that what we should do is seek genuine spirituality with God, and the fake is dangerous for two reasons. One is I don't need this real because I have the fake, and two, because the fake is misleading. It leads to these weird experiences. And I remember talking to a woman who called herself a Christian missionary, and she had, I think that maybe she was using some stuff from the Canadian tribes that was up there. And she goes, I had a vision from God. And I said, well, what did the vision say? She goes, that there is no judgment, there is only love. And this was the vision she had. There is no judgment, there's only love. And so I shared some scripture with her. I was like, what about this and that? And it was the weirdest thing, because she goes, well, I believe that. I believe all of those things, but there's no judgment. There's only love. So it was difficult, but she'd had this sort of spiritual experience that she thought would overrule the Bible, but she still wanted to pretend she agreed with the Bible. So she said she was a missionary to these different tribes up in Canada. I think maybe the Nez Perce is one of them. Is that right? Maybe. And I asked her, well, then what is your message? When you go on a mission trip, what is the message you tell them? And she goes, that there's no judgment. I just tell them there's no judgment. There's only love. And I thought, oh, man. So, this is where a fake spiritual experience led to an anti-missionary, effectively, because she's telling people they don't need Jesus, effectively. And it's so sad. So I'd be concerned about that sort of thing. And that's my thoughts for what it's worth. Yeah. Yeah. I wish I had a more thorough understanding of those issues.